think after that, what I should be talking about is a different kind of panorama, but it's the panorama inside us that I'm concerned about, not outside us, because I actually believe that an awful lot of people actually don't know the full breadth of what they've got inside. And that's what I want to talk about today. So the title, Who Am I, isn't going to be a talk about me at all. It's going to be a talk about you, the inner you, and particularly because a lot of you are hopefully coming to the end of your studies after many, many years of studying. You've now got to make that transition into the world of work. So what are you going to do? And who are you? You're not a researcher or a psychologist, as I am. You're unique within yourself. And actually, the work that I do with people, which is to help define or redefine their lives and careers, is to help them to actually really understand themselves, because it's a bit like a product. When you go out there into the world to find that job that you want, you've got to know the product incredibly well. And the problem that we have in this world, I believe, is we're not taught at school or university something that I call career management, which is made up of to answer three questions. Who am I? Where am I going? And how am I going to get there? Now, the problem that I also see is that people can understand this, but what actually happens, they ignore the first bit because it's a bit hard, yeah? So they rush around, where am I going? How am I going to get there? I'll get the CV done, I'll put in all these fantastic words like, self-motivated, team player, yeah? All those things that's probably on every CV, and I've seen many of them in my career, yeah? And you just become part of the melee. You don't come out as unique. And also, with all that kind of language, you've got this profile on the top of your CV, but it's not really you, is it? And because it's not really you, you're not terribly confident about it. And I think what I just want to do for my few minutes is just give you some tips on how to manage your career by concentrating, because you'll probably do this anyway, on the who I am. Now, the who I am is quite simple. You need to look at three things. You need to look at your talents rather than your skills. And I hope you realize the difference between talents and skills. Yeah? In other words, I could decide tomorrow to start learning ukulele, and probably in a few months I could strum something, but I actually know I'm useless as far as music is concerned, and I won't be very good at it. But there's other things that I've got, other talents, and you've got plenty of those in this room, which are really strong in you. And that's what you need to concentrate on. Not the skills, but the talents that you have. But the difficulty often is we don't recognize the talents because, of course, we were born with them. We don't value them as much because the education system is all about passing exams, getting good grades, learning skills, but not developing talents. So what we need to do, apart from anything else, is at this stage is start to look at who you are, the sum of you. What is in that kit bag that you've had strapped to your back since you were born, that you've been throwing lots of experiences, happinesses, problems, all of that, yeah? And what we need to do is take it off, empty it on the ground, and have a good rummage. What's in there? What are the things that I really get enthused about? What are the talents I've really got? So the first little tip is, literally, I don't know if you've done this before, is do a lifeline. Yeah? Again, people don't like doing this, but boy, is it useful. 5-year chunks. Most of you are probably not much older than 25, so that's why it's only that long. For the others, I'm sure you can work out what else you need to do. Yeah? And then you've got a scale. 5 is boringly normal, 0 is suicidal, yeah, and 10 is ecstatic. We need to look back on our lives and identify the highs and lows in our life to date. But actually, with spending quite a lot of time, and I'm really pleased that some of the research coming out now is supporting what I've been saying for years, that we need to look particularly at the first 10 years. Because that's where we're unsullied by other people telling us what we're good at. We're just us. Yeah? And, okay, the negatives, we've got to put those down, but we've got to recognize negative information is 7 times heavier than positive, so we've got to concentrate on the high points in our lives. And what I would like you to just think about, what are the high points? What was I doing? What talents was I using? In what kind of ways? With what kind of people? Because that will help you enormously to start to consolidate who you are. Now there's another thing that we also need on top of this, and that is to look at values. And I just want to sort of talk about an individual that I worked with in a roundabout way. Okay, he had a talent for music. He was a concert pianist. And he was very, very good. But the values for this guy took him in one direction rather than another. His talent was linked very much to his spirituality. He also wanted a normal life with a wife and children. Within a few years of him being on the circuit, living out of hotel rooms and going everywhere in the world and never having a base, he started hating it because his values were very much grounded in his spirituality, and in fact he wanted to become a priest, which he eventually did. But it was incredibly difficult for him to do that because he had a huge talent, and this is where talents, you've got to be careful with them, a talent that he wanted to use in a particular way, but everybody told him the way he had to use it, including his family, who disowned him for 2 years when he gave everything up and went into the priesthood. He is now happily married with 3 children, and he plays the organ beautifully. But someone else might have gone the other way. So values are incredibly important. And we all say, oh yes, values are very important, but I guarantee, because I've done it, when I ask people, so what are your values? There's lots of, well, because actually people don't know what they are. So you also have to think about what your values truly are, because that's going to affect what you do and how you do it in your career, and whether you're going to use your talents properly. God, I've got to rush. So the values, very important. There is an exercise on that, but I can't go into it too much, but I just want you to understand it. Now, the most important thing, I think, is also another thing. I would imagine for an awful lot of you that the goal at the moment, once getting the PhD or whatever, is to get a job. The problem is, I see an awful lot of people who got the wrong job. Yeah? Because they were goal-focused rather than, as far as I'm concerned, purpose-focused. We've got to start to turn this around. Everything in today's society is about goals. You see it everywhere. Yeah? We spend 95% of our time just doing stuff. Yeah? We have the odd plan. We've got certain objectives, you know, what you're going to be doing over the next few weeks, but then you've got bigger goals in terms of getting that job or finishing that dissertation, etc., etc. But these are all achievable, but they're also limited, because when you get to that point, as a lot of you are getting to, I've got the PhD, right, where next? And what I would say is we need, rather than work this way, we've got to look above what I call this line into the unlimited, unachievable area, which is where your purpose is. Now, the easiest way to understand that is just to look at your, what I call aims. It's the things you can't stop doing, because that will give you the clues to create what I would call a personal mission statement. I know mission statements have got bad names, but a proper one that is based on you and what's important to you in your life, both physically, emotionally, spiritually, intellectually. What is it that drives you so that you can actually create a blueprint over your life? And you've got this blueprint, and at every crossroads in your life, you can say, actually, I know this might be where I make a lot of money or whatever, but that's actually the way I want to go, because that's going to give me a happy and fulfilled life. And I think that's it. Thank you very much.